Backed by unpopular demand and purely for research purposes. Let's help you figure out, in a poorly disguised attempt to try and teach you something about MMORPG art styles, which one of these massively multiplayer games is the place where you, personally, should be shoving your dick. So let's get on to ranking a few more of these games today in the only standard that matters anymore in the modern age. Bangability. Let's start today off strong with a real winner, Black Desert Online, a game that's just so graphically precise that people battle to make it past the character creation screen. Being completely honest with you, I'm not even sure that there is a game once you're done creating your own personal snoo king or queen. I mean, what is even the point of this game if once you're past the screen, everything is in third-person view and you don't even get to see the finer details of everyone's big-budget personalities? Wait, hold on, never mind. This game lets you zoom all the way in, because they knew exactly what you were here for. On a less serious note, once you've developed a severe case of carpal tunnel and require a break, you can actually play this game and find out what the rest of the visuals and cutscenes look like. Art style wise, built for Big Black Desert Online rides the fine line between something looking realistic and something looking stylized, and somehow manages to pull that off. Is it somewhat Eastern MMO generic the same way Final Fantasy 16 is? Yes, but not nearly to the same extent. Now you could put this down to the engine or the age of the game, but none of that really matters. Because I'd bet money that there are more players out there willing to die suffocating between these thighs rather than these ones. I hope. Burnt Out Dopamine Receptors Online here stands out as the pinnacle of not only what should be the default for any future MMO character creator, but also how to design a world that matches the mildly over-stylized looks of each and every outfit your character gets to wear while playing the game. This is a game that knows how to tie the idea of a fantasy-driven world directly into beautiful graphics where no effort has been spared when it comes to dealing with armor, characters, creatures, objects, spell effects, and most importantly, the oversized, fantasy-driven There's a reason why if you go onto any Black Desert Online forum, there are no players arguing about the visuals of the game. Only maybe who might have the hotter character model. And that might be because most of the player base are just simply too drained from trying to play this game one-handed, while their other arm is just in a constant state of extreme hypertrophy. But the best part about this game is that you get to pick just how good or smudged the game looks with just the simple change of a few options in the settings menu. And better yet, the system requirements for looking good in this game aren't stupidly unreasonable, meaning that even if you can't run this game at the most hyper-detailed levels imaginable, the game is still going to be gently tickling and caressing those two wet, sopping orbs that you call eyeballs. And this holds especially true if you're playing the remastered version of the game. There is so much in this game to just visually enjoy that even your grandma would be gushing over it. There's fluid animations, weather effects, a day-night cycle, the skybox that keeps tickling your box, and what's real fucked up is that I should probably be complaining to you that there's a lack of variety when it comes to character models and races in this game. But it doesn't even matter that much just because of how fantastically physics-based all the existing character models that you get to interact with are, even if not all of them are playable. I mean, sure, of the Bangable races, there's only humans, pointy-eared fleshlights, dwarves, and different variations on wrestling legend Andre the Giant. But if we put your disgusting little prejudices aside for a second, there's also body painting Twitch streamer enthusiast goblins, deer people with a similar number of chromosomes to your average furry, and both have a unique set of handlebars for you to hold on to if you're brave enough and drunk enough to try your luck. And aside from that, there's definitely no other races worth mentioning. What ultimately makes Big Dickings Online here so different to other MMOs in the genre is that usually these are played with a keyboard and mouse, or even sometimes a controller. But the optimal setup for Black Desert Online? Bottle of lotion, and a box of tissues. There's a reason why 9 years later, there are still people out there ejaculating more than just comments over how good this game looks. And as such, this MMO earns my highest rating of beating my meat like it owes me rent money. Please help. My one arm is starting to look a lot bigger than the other. But moving on from that one MMO that doesn't need to try to that one that's trying too hard. This next one likes to pull what I like to call the Todd Howard special on you. Everything about Elder Scrolls Online is one giant tease. I mean, you're looking at the cinematics, you haven't even played the game yet, and your corresponding salami stick or fap flaps are probably halfway out your jorts like your name is I Show Meat on stream. And then the makeup comes off.
16 times the detail.
This one's the MMO out there that keeps saying things like tee-hee, I'm not like the other MMOs, and autistically speaking even. You're damn right she's not. She's much worse. But she isn't the worst. ESO's big problem is that she's got a whole family who just look better than her. And she just keeps trying so goddamn hard to keep up instead of just going off and doing her own thing. This game took the lusty Argonian maid and turned her into the crusty Argonian maid. Visually speaking, this game is even upsetting to most vegans because the Spriggans aren't nearly as thick as they were in Skyrim. And honestly, most of the character models look like what happens when you leave your own Play-Doh sculpted sex doll in the oven too long while warming it up. In exchange though, the high elves do look a little bit less like highly Habsburged elves. So there's some good in there with all of that bad. And you've at least got to give them bonus points for variety. Everything is mostly humanoid and therefore theoretically compatible with your own junk. Just make sure you bring a paper bag with you and you should be fine. Then again, this game does have plants that definitely bear no resemblance to your ex. And there is the existence of big titty sea ghost GF that you've been wanting for Christmas since you hit puberty. That is assuming that you don't mind that the body's already gone cold. But if you are an ESO player, you're very likely used to playing with dead things. But where ESO fails in its character models, it makes up for it in its themes, landscapes, and environments. I mean, hell, ZeniMax was even brave enough to make an entire landscape filled with gigantic cocks for you to play around in. Because they know exactly what their players are into. Going into the cash shop and getting absolutely but there is something a little more that ESO is doing here that you don't find in other MMOs. Its visuals don't just set a theme, but they set an atmosphere. You can't help but feel that you're there, wherever there is in-game. It's pretty easy to get deeply immersed and get in the mood to lose yourself in the environments. Whether that be a musty wooden cabin or the city of solitude where that one giant hole is just waiting to be filled. ESO is that game that's leading you to the bedroom with a trail of rose petals across the floor. It's dimming the lights. It's getting the candles out. It's burning a little incense. It gets you with just the right ambient soundtrack that makes you feel like you can unequip those pants you're wearing. And right before you're about to click drag those pants off yourself, the most fuck ugly character model busts through the door and eliminates any magic that you may have had left in your wabberjack. There's a lot to enjoy about ESO visually, but also a lot to be horrified by. So to say that it's a mixed bag is a severe understatement. Its big issue is that everything pretty is in the background and everything hideous is right there in your face all the time. See, Elder Scrotums Online is a game that I would just usually put down here in my floppy jalopy category and just carry on with my day. But ultimately what saves it from that is the levels of character customization where theoretically you can attempt to not make a man-made horror beyond everyone's comprehension, the overall scale and the beauty of the world itself, and the wide range of variety that the game gives you without having to rely on putting theoretically not children into the game as a playable race. So we're gonna move it up to semi, but that's only really because Vivek has the most detailed feet I have ever seen in any MMO ever. Finally, today we've got the yin to ESO's Wang to talk about. The game responsible for my recent downward mental spiral and resultant eye stroke a few months back.
Did you know eyeballs could do that? Because I didn't.
Guild Wars 2. A game that has no problem reminding you that once upon a time, game developers actually had to know mathematical equations in order to shape a good pair of knockers in game. But unfortunately, they dropped the ball when it came to the corresponding frog eye bulge. I know, it's rather sexist of them to ignore men like that unless your personal headcanon is that every male in the game is packing a missing pair of testicles and a micro penis, but that's just the way it is. And come to think of it, that may just be representative of anyone who works at NCSoft. For the most part though, Guild Wars 2 has some pretty saucy visuals despite her graphical age and obvious wrinkles. Thanks to the game's fairly wide range of customizability within its character creator, its wide assortment of character races from absolutely horrifying to absolutely hornifying, and its strong emphasis on theme colors which help distinguish one pair of clappable cheeks from another. And all of this variety is where it shines brightest. See, it doesn't really matter in Guild Wars 2 if you're looking for something vanilla, something degenerate, or just a quick salad tossing. Guild Wars 2 has you covered. Artistically, if other MMOs out there are an attempt at a Renaissance painting or stylization that's very unique, then Guild Wars 2 is unashamedly carving the world's biggest pair of boobs or the veiniest wiener you've ever seen into a wooden school desk. It's all broad strokes and bright color, and somehow they managed to make it work. And whether you're looking at the world, the colors, or the suspiciously shaped objects in-game, but it's trying to visually tell you a story about the world you're surrounded in. Much like the stains and holes on a well-used pair of underwear, it may not be the greatest thing in the world to look at, but you can tell that there's definitely something unique that's happened here. And it's all topped off pretty nicely with some landscapes and locations that may not fully set the mood, but at least do enough to end up being memorable as long as you're short-sighted or turned on by sharp angles. Attention to up-close detail is not the name of the game when it comes to Guild Wars 2. It's all about the bigger picture in the same way that a single pixel can't express the true size of your homework folder hidden away on your PC. And even though I did just say that the visuals are memorable, it's not because they look nice, but rather because just like that guy or girl that you might know with a mild weight problem, the very landscape itself is something that you can mount, climb, and ride for your own personal enjoyment. And it doesn't even matter that much that they've been groped and manhandled by 1,000 different players before you, because now it's your turn. And you're gonna get yours. What I'm trying to say to you is that Great Wank 2 is much like riding a fat person, or a moped, or a fat person on a moped. See, the art style here is an expression of a player's interaction with a less than pretty world, instead of just looking at a much prettier world locked away behind an invisible wall. And that might be something special, but it also doesn't mean that they're not gonna roll over in the middle of the night and start suffocating you with a little bit too much artistic interaction. End of the day, Guild Wars 2 is like that girl or guy who went to McDonald's, got a burger, and it just so happened that there was a burn mark in the shape of Jesus on the buns. They've definitely got a story to tell you, but they're sure as shit not sprinting home to tell it to you. And as such, Guild Wars 2 is kind of like vanilla WoW and deserves a spot right here at Half Chub. They're a little old, they're a little busted up, outdated, but when they want to, man, can they suck a mean dick. And those are the 3 MMOs I wanted to cover today. But before you go running off to crack open a fresh bottle of lotion for nothing else except those under-moisturized hands of yours, this time around we're adding in an honorable mention. This part of the list goes to games that aren't quite MMORPGs, but kind of always end up falling into the same category because they're just so similar. And this time around it goes to Warframe, Destiny 2's older, hotter sister, who just refuses to stop walking around the house in skin-tight yoga pants whenever you come to visit. This is the kind of game that when you spank it, it spanks you back and leaves you thinking about spanking it all the way home. You know how earlier I said that ESO is just a massive Todd tease because the cinematics are beautiful, but the gameplay just doesn't match up to that? Well, Warframe took that concept and answered the question, what if the cinematics match the gameplay? And in a rather unique twist, Warframe took the concept of sex robots and made everything into a sex robot. See, you're a person inside a sex robot who lives in a space factory that manufactures personalized sex robots to attack other feral sex robots with a sex robot that fires penetrating rounds or straight up attempts to pound the other sex robots harder than they can pound you. But this video is about art styles and visuals, not gameplay, so let's stay on track. And what makes Warframe so unique is that it knows exactly what it wants to be. It sticks to its cyber techno space art style and makes no excuses about it. There's lens flares everywhere, that super smooth futuristic feel, and I bet that the Warframes themselves have that self-cleaning function for when you're done with them. This game also takes variety to a whole new level by blending organic art styles with futuristic fantasy tech. They could give 2B a run for her money if they just had skin and a face. I could tell you about the visual settings and the variety amongst the different planets you visit, the neat little details placed not just in the character models but in the environments itself, right down to the UI components. But it all boils down to this. Warforeskin knows exactly what it is and knows exactly what it wants to be, and its art style reflects that perfectly. And shockingly enough, and proving that it can be done, there's been little to no sacrifice in the gameplay or the story just to look this good. And so with that being said, and me not neglecting the existence of giant techno sky penis, Warframe deserves a spot right up here in the engorger category, only falling short of making me beat my meat like it owes me rent on 2 accounts. Warframe does one art style and does it right, but what that also means is that artistic variety and expression are not something you're going to see across this game, and there's no denying that this is way more limited than what you would find in most other MMOs out there. And if you disagree or you're struggling to understand what I mean, then just play a little bit of Fashion Frame. It does all look great and incredible no matter what you do, but no matter what you do, your Warframe will always have the same visual feel behind it. This is a one-note art style game, but my god does it play that note well. And the second reason that it's only an engorger, and I'm talking directly now to the devs, is you could have made these Warframes thicker. As always, big thank to my subscribers, both old and new. And a special thank to the horny police who let me out of the porno prison on bail early this month, while I work on longer videos again, and who get to choose what short I make next and watch these videos before anyone else. More content soon. Bye.